Hey, welcome everyone. This is 372 pages we'll never get back. I am Michael J. Nelson. Connor is here too. Good morning, Connor.
Good morning, Mike. I've just got my web browser up to a news site. I've got a headline for you.
Oh, goodness. It's right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Coming in hot with fresh news. Is this a hot take?
It is news. It's not a hot take, but it's a hot decision some guy made. This was sent to us on Twitter by Leighton, who is a computational biologist in plant pathology. And he sent us, steal your expectations.
I guess they do that thing.
Based on that title. And so the headline that the plant biologist sent us, crotch tattoo ruining UK dude's sex life. A UK bartender was 16 when he got a tattoo of the vacuum cleaner Henry the Hoover on his genitals.
Oh, my.
So Lewis Flint is now 21 and regrets that bad decision as it's ruining his sex life. And this is on
Well, that went a completely different direction. I assumed it was the Albanian flag that was going to be ruining his sex life.
So this is the vacuum that makes Alysia smile every time she sees it, because it's a smiling wet dry vac with the vacuuming implement, the hose, as his nose. So they don't show the whole tattoo. They just sort of show him pulling his pants down for the eyes to peek over. But you must assume.
Yes.
So this is on some site called us.tomonews.com, which I had to Google.
A subsidiary of Fax King.
Yes, exactly. But you Google the guy's name and tattoo, and it pops up on Guardian and other news sites that would not just. It's not fake; it's real. So.
It pops up, Connor says, without it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's ruining his sex life. But you have to assume that Alysia would be, it's her two favorite things are this vacuum cleaner and the dong, which she can now touch freely. So.
Which, in order to bring her down from the constant high she'd be on, you'd have to show her that garbage can.
Right.
Look, let's balance this out.
Yeah.
You're getting manic.
It's like a Ouroboros. It's a snake eating its tail. She just gets so allured by the Henry Hoover that he fills up the trash can. She gets upset. He shows it to her again, and the circle continues.
Well, this is not primarily a podcast tattoo? Where we talk about genital tattoos, not primarily.
Guys who got them when they were underage.
No, this is a podcast on books that Connor and I, who work over at rifftracks.com together and have for many years, are going through some books that we probably won't like. And this latest is The Mr. E.L. James, and we have finished it.
We're done.
And I think you hear in our voice, you hear the elation. I think as we were doing Pappy's book, you could hear the struggle. This hasn't been quite as much of a struggle, but we are done. And so, finishing this book is like running a marathon, and, it feels good.
Yeah, I agree. It's, by the end, I was looking forward to what was going to happen plot-wise, and in many ways it disappointed you, but if you were reading it for our purposes, I do not think it disappointed. It was very...
That's my exact thought. As I thought of that old line, you can count on me, I'll always let you down. That's what she did here.
Yes.
Like, it did not disappoint in that it was very disappointing. But our speculation about characters and things left unresolved, 100% accurate.
Oh.
And we'll dive into that in a moment. But Connor, what departments do we have today?
We're going to
dive in.
We do not have any fanfic since the book is over, but we do have reader emails. A lot of people shared their reactions. We've got dumb sentences of the week, and we have a couple quizzes, I believe.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm going to dive right in with mine. I went back to Amazon to see how well a person who loves this book, I could have gone the other way, I guess, but so many people disliked this book that,
Yeah.
It's hard to make that. The standouts were the people who gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, they're the ones who you wonder what their other tastes are.
Yes. So 5-star review from someone named Cool J.
Ooh.
Cool J.
Violent J from the Insane Clown Posse's cool brother.
Well, no indication of whether the ladies love this person. I believe it is a woman, I gathered from her references here. And here's just a synopsis of a review. I enjoyed the 3 50 Shades novels and must admit I was expecting more of the same from the Mister. And here I pause and go, why is this 5 stars? Because, however, in Maxim and Alessia, James has surprised the reader with fresh, less confident characters. So she enjoyed the kind of mewling, back and forth.
Do they love me?
Timidity.
Oh, my
yes.
God.
This was a plus for Cool J.
My flight was delayed. I had a great time with this frustrating ordeal.
She finishes up with, I found myself identifying with Alessia's fears and rooting for her. I'm worried about this person if she's identifying with Alysia, but that's what she says.
Yeah. That means she identifies with the fear of, being abused by her father or fiance or being locked in a trunk.
I guess so. So we'll just run through some here, and you'll quickly get the tone of what she's up to.
Okay.
Cool J, 2-inch natural brown craft stickers, 500 labels per roll.
Oh, I bet she does a lot of crafting. She loves them.
5 stars.
All right.
Useful for canning lids. Fujifilm Instamax Mini 9 instant camera, lime green.
Loves it. I love being able to see my pictures as soon as I take them. So much fun.
5 stars. Excellent product. Let's see. A June Taylor 1.5 ounce fray block, which is a knitting product.
Loves it. Made a scarf for my granddaughter.
5 stars. Soft. Universal car seat covers for dogs. Cargo liner seat protector for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
Oh, okay. So she's a dog mama. I'm guessing this one didn't go as well.
5 stars. Excellent pet liner.
What is excellent pet liner?
Yes.
Okay.
Final one. Plantar fasciitis compression sleeves.
I mean, that's not funny.
Orthotics for foot, ankle pain.
I'm getting a picture of this person.
Yes.
I think they did the job, and she can now, she's still collecting her disability checks, but is ready to go back to work.
5 stars.
All right.
Socks really help.
All right.
Yeah. And it continues on that way. I cannot find
something she doesn't like.
She likes beet seeds. There are books that she's not excited about, but she has another pair of plantar fasciitis socks. She loves the series Sneaky Pete, which is on Amazon.
Oh, sure.
She loves Tiny Price portable folding tripod stools. 5 stars.
Okay.
And she loves everything to do with canning. 12-inch Wonder Woman figure, 5 stars.
All right. Yep.
So anyway, that's
Gene Teasdale from The Onion. I think is the is what we're looking at here. Yeah, it's like if you love everything, it sort of diminishes it. It's like when the guy called Elaine breathtaking on Seinfeld, and then she heard him call like a baby and like a fire hydrant breathtaking. So
right, there's the Brit. Well, I think it's more Irish. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So everything is brilliant. these cooked carrots are brilliant. So yeah, same thing. Well, thank you, Cool J, for that.
Yes.
And well done, Connor.
Awesome. Well, I think we left off with him saying in the middle of a chapter, Maxim was hoping to find his girl. She's been he's waiting in the airport, snapping pictures in the lounge, and she has been abducted by. Brother, I didn't remember his name. Anatoly. To bring her back a very long drive back to Albania, and so we pick up with them in the car, and he's sort of grilling her about why she has left, and we picked, last time we said she was sort of like this sassy, quipping B. Arthur sitcom character, and she sort of keeps it up. She's explaining to her why she left. She said, "You are a man from another century, from another time. You and all the men like you. In other countries, your Neanderthal attitude to women would be unacceptable." And then Anatoly shakes his head. "You have been in the West too long, Carissima." And that made me think about the timeline here. It's been a month and a half tops.
That she's been gone, that she ran away?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's. I mean, I assumed it was that much. I mean, she'd barely settled into Magda's place, right?
Right, and then she's been with Maxim for all of 4 days since they went to the hideout. So it just struck me as like the student who went studied abroad in for a semester in college and then came back like with the Australian accent from the 3 months they spent in Sydney. Like that's sort of what Anatoly he's rightfully skeptical. You've been gone a month and a half. You can't change your whole worldview in that amount of time.
What I was expecting at that little calling him a Neanderthal and a dinosaur, if she had ermed him and said, Neanderthals and dinosaurs lived hundreds of millions of years apart. I learned that in the 4 days since I've been to England. The gin will get you if you don't get your facts right. On that.
But yeah, so he's sort of like in response to that, he accuses her of forgetting who she is, and she flushes, and then she thinks to herself. So this is yet another seesawing between her defiance, but then her somehow shame at all this. He says, "Of course, her attitude, M dash, her defiance, italics, her willfulness, M dash, brings great shame to her family." And so her willfulness was getting put on blast there. I wasn't really sure what her willfulness had to do with anything, but she's still very shameful about her family. I guess she willed. Her will was that she escape the abuse and jump in the van, but
Yeah, her father's very disappointed with her for doing that, I guess.
and so yeah, she's been she loves her mother. We've heard about before. She's excited to see her, but her father has been just made out to be a giant dick who abuses her and emotionally and physically, and so the idea that she's bringing shame upon him doesn't really seem like it should be a priority, but we get a lot of him later. So,
Right. Oh, well, that's quite a turn on him. But yeah, they're the last we heard of him, the mother and daughter were on the floor weeping because they were both, subject to this horrible violence.
Yes.
So this is not something she should be too concerned about. I love how the Schengen Agreement becomes a plot point.
yes.
You have to get in the trunk because of the Schengen Agreement. So this is obviously, this is her trip to Albania.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's, they stopped at a border thing and someone said, and she was furiously scribbling notes. Schengen Agreement, you say?
Yes.
This is really going to make my readers perk up.
My impression of it was that she was sitting in the first class lounge on the way home, and she was calling her accountant. She's like tan and just has been whining and dining the whole time. He's like, "So what did you learn?" And she's like, "Learn?" He's like, "Yeah, well, you can't write off this trip unless you actually incorporate some of these facts into your thing." And so she very quickly on the phone found Schengen Agreement for the thing. I was like, "Oh, well, sure, that'll be in the book."
That'll be one of the only plot points in the book, in fact.
On that same note is he told her, if you don't do as you're told, there are consequences. I expect you to be a traditional gag wife. G-H-E-G. That's all you need to know. And so that is the only instance of gag, and whatever it just doesn't sound very good.
It is. I looked that one up because a traditional gag wife, is that a word? It turns out it's one of the two, I guess, I don't know if they're fully ethnic groups, so don't quote me on that, but different languages that are in Albania, and there's some, there's some disagreement over who's going to be the dominant language and ethnic group in Albania. So that's the only thing we get out of that, and there was probably violence involved at some point, I'm assuming. But
sure. It's like there's battle erupted over whether they add a half teaspoon of spice to their bland gruel or a whole teaspoon, and so that was
right. Right. I know that this is one thing that Anatoly says right after, he has to force her into the trunk because of that damn Schengen and his agreement. He says to her, and this is something I said to my wife after we were married and we were coming back from the wedding. Sure. I said, when we stopped in Dunkirk, I thought you were unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning or something. And then I frowned at her. He's bringing his wife back. He thought she was unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning. I believe the stages pretty quickly go to death after the unconsciousness.
Right, yeah. Yeah, unless she had passed out from it, 30 seconds before he opened the trunk.
Yeah.
But then his thought of that is, well, back in.
Yeah, yep.
And I did like that it said when he tells her to get back in because of the agreement, she blanches. She hates being in the trunk. She loathes the dark. And so we're well aware that she loathes the dark, but since many of us are enjoy traveling in locked trunks of cars, it was important that we the reader get told that she hates being in the trunk. Otherwise, you got to just you cast your own projections that you would love being in the trunk of an abductor's car.
Yes, we've all, sneaking into outdoor movie theaters in the trunk. We all enjoy that period of time, right? As you're
sure, yeah,
that's the best.
The knowledge that a mild rear ending would kill you, or that your idiot buddies might forget you back there. It's a fun time.
Yeah, the lug wrenches rolling around and hitting you in the eye. It's a delight. Plus, I'm surprised he didn't go back to the how are you enjoying that heat back there that the
right.
all trunks have.
Right. This was just a fun moment. We don't get a lot of local color, and when we do, it's glaringly obviously wedged in. But this was a fun moment that I'm glad we all got to experience together. Somewhere in Austria, Anatoly stops at the services again, but this time only for gas. He insists Alysia accompany him into the store. Reluctantly, she trails after him, oblivious to her surroundings. Back on the Autobahn, he announces just a really good moment there of her trailing him into the store. Like, I thought maybe we'd get her blinking to some guy that she needs help, but it's just like, they stopped. Now we're back on the road. Whatever.
Oh, she's so terrible at those kinds of things. There's so many coming up. We're setting up something and just nope, absolutely does not make any difference at all.
Yes.
Yeah. The Tom. Then we cut to Tom and this is supposed to be picking up pace now as they cut between the two.
Yes.
Because those used to be, I don't know. Generally, they seem to be longer cuts between the two POVs, but now they're picking up steam. Mm-hmm. But really, it's just travel. It's just the most basic stuff.
Oh,
Nothing's
man.
really.
Yeah.
It's just this mundane stuff. And so Tom and Maxim are in the car together.
Oh my God.
I like this line from Tom. I've driven in worse conditions, he mutters. I turn off the ignition, knowing that he's making an oblique reference to his time in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Tom, we get it. You're elbowing me so hard right now.
He's pulling up his pants leg to reveal his scars that he has there. Yeah. But yeah, the car, speaking of mundane, we get if you've never rented a car before, you must be eating this up. Otherwise, it describes the exact scenario anyone has ever encountered. It's amazing. He says, so he just starts it off. He's I guess the airport was small, but he says, our rental car, on the other hand, is a revelation. And then he says, my travel agent had warned me there were no prestige cars for hire. So I find myself at the wheel of a car whose make I've never heard of, a Dacia. It's the most basic and analog car I've ever driven, though it does have a USB port in the radio, so we can plug in my iPhone and use Google Maps. I'm surprised to find myself liking the car. It's practical. He's Andy Rooney. It's practical and sturdy. Tom christens it Daisy, a creative name, Tom, and after some negotiation at the exit to the car park and a small bribe to the parking attendant, we are off. So a lot to unpack there. He says the car is a revelation, which then he just says it has a USB port and is practical and sturdy.
I did not understand that at all. If you have a theory, please give it.
I guess he just, he was expecting a mule drawn cart with, chickens in the back of it because he's Albania racist. And then his buddy, I've always hated people naming the car. It's always bugged me. It strikes me as forced. So the fact that he comes up with Daisy as that's the name of the car he just sliced off one letter is very frustrating. And then very, very confused about why they needed to bribe the guy to let them leave after they've paid for the rental car. Does that routinely happen where you just don't leave the rental car place? And then what?
You can't re-rent it. The guy's still sitting in it.
Yeah, maybe he wouldn't put down those severe tire damage spikes if they didn't bribe him. But then the key thing, the thing we've all been waiting for to pay off ever since someone first got in a car from Albania, there's no mention of the car's seatbelts or lack thereof.
That's stunning omission.
The only detail we cared about. He's talking about Google Maps integration and the sturdiness of it, but it does not mention there end up being 4 people in the car, and none of them are nervous about. He says the driving is frankly terrifying, but he doesn't mention that he's wearing a seatbelt or not.
It's shocking. I also want to go back to the car is a revelation. Is it possible that she's Jim Tysing it here and doesn't know what the word revelation means?
Oh, that's
The car, on the other hand, is a surprise. Maybe?
Yeah.
It's a revelation. It's like this is completely 180, reversing all thoughts of cars that I've ever had. Oh my God! Like you choirs from the heaven, or Carmina Burana playing or something.
Right, yes.
And it's the most basic car he's ever seen. Why is that a revelation?
Back-to-back sentences, yes. Revelation and most basic and analog car. I mean, I guess he grew up wealthy, but my 2005 Honda Civic is probably a bit more basic than this. It doesn't have an aux-in, and it has roll-down windows. Like you literally roll them down.
It can't be a revelation to him because he's spending money to avoid cars like this. So it's not like he's unaware of them.
Right.
He's like, I had to fly coach was one of his things. I couldn't get a private plane. So
yes.
You're aware that it sucks to do things that when you're not rich.
Right.
So don't pretend that cars like this, oh my God, what is this thing? Which end do I grab it by?
Maybe he just assumes that poors drive seats with cars with seats who have worn through and springs are sticking up through them, and he's seen people with duct tape over their broken windows because they can't afford to get them fixed. So maybe that's what he was expecting from the airport rental car.
Yeah, and we're even passing over the most basic and analog car I've ever driven.
Yeah.
What
I mean, that can only mean
self-driving car. What are you in?
It has to just mean the actual windows that you roll down. What else could that possibly be?
I guess. Oh, Maxim, you really are a dick.
Yeah. But so he then mentions yet again that private car ownership was unheard of until the mid 1990s. So that means that driving is a challenge. But I think that 28 years or 18 years, it's probably enough. No, 28 years. It's enough time to get a hang of it. I feel like Albanians, it's a learning curve, but sure, a year or two into that, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I think they're just fine. But then we get our first indication of the character of Tom.
Oh yeah.
He first of all, he can't remember Alysia's name. So because he seems to be preoccupied with something else.
Yeah. Tom does,
let's check in and find somewhere to have a drink.
Yes. Tom is it sort of is his thing. He's maybe it's the PTSD from Afghanistan, which he's been to, he'll let you know. But he multiple times he insists that they find a spot for a drink. So we had Maxim doing the full Mr. Welch from It's a Wonderful Life last session, and he reprises it again, despite the fact that his beloved has been abducted. They're just stopping in for fancy Negronis.
Yeah, I was hoping that it would be paragraph break, large first letter, and then Albanians are teetotalers. And it's a dry country.
Yes.
Tom immediately gets his analog car and heads back home.
Yeah, shivering the whole time from withdrawal. But yeah, they serve a bloody good Negroni, and Tom is Tom's impressed. I mean, it's not only is the car a revelation, but Tom's loving the hotel. He says, "I think we fell on our feet with this place." Tom says as he takes another slug of his drink. I don't know what I was expecting. Goats and Waddle and Daub shacks, I think. And then Maxim says, "Yes, I had the same idea." So they were both thinking that goats and wattle daub shacks was what they were in for. That was the same idea they had. But I did not look what up that means. But I guess I'm an idiot because it's a common thing that people think about Albania.
Yeah, that's does he realize his own? Aren't they just a little ashamed of that? I remember once I had an editor in New York who some major news thing had happened. And I called him on the phone for something else, and he said, did you hear about that there? And I just went, I don't want to say his name. I'll say his name is Rick. I'm like, Rick, stop and think what you're saying.
There, like, meaning Minnesota?
Yes, Minnesota. And he just went, I'm sorry. That's really crappy, isn't it? I'm like, that's one of the worst things you've ever said to me.
Wow.
Assuming that I don't have the new. Do you think I'm standing on a hay bale, like actively milking a cow right now? You're the idiot.
Right.
And he agreed. He assented. But that's what they're acting like here. I loved the now I'd like to give her credit for humor here. Mm-hmm. The cut between the thing. It's her. There's a brief chapter of her gulping air, adrenaline coursing through her veins, chasing away her fear, Anatoly glaring at her, and then slamming the lid shut again on the trunk, and cut to, I take a sip of my Negroni. It's bloody good. But I don't think she means that to smear Maxim or to make him look like an uncaring, aristocratic a-hole.
No.
I think it's just... I'm just cutting back to the action here. I don't think she sees any irony or if she does, it's done so poorly. Like, who cares?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not him like drumming his fingers on the bar as Tom is like ordering another one. Like he's on board. Like he piles right into the bellies up.
Yep, they're having a great time.
Yeah, they're he tells Tom he's going to marry her, which prompts an actual spit take. Which was funny, but Tom sort of like takes the role of a little more introspective than we've seen so far. He says, "You're in mourning, Maxim." His voice is surprisingly gentle. "Have you considered that this sudden infatuation is part of your way of dealing with your brother's death?" To which I hoped he was going to say, "Tom, you always play psychologist." But yes. But it was very much a putting the subtext in the right out there in the open on the author's part.
But then we get the mention of a character that I want to hear a hell of a lot more from, Henry.
Yes, this was another thing where I don't think her comedy was intentional.
So he fires back. He just goes on the reverse attack against Tom and starts busting on his gal Henrietta. Meanwhile, she's in the trunk, being slammed around.
Yeah. But yeah, he goes, "You found that person, and you take Henrietta for granted." He exhales and stares down at the remains of his drink. "You're right," he mumbles. "I love Henry. I should do the decent thing." "You should." He nods. "Okay, let's order another." Dun, 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 dun. And then Maxim says, "Make 'em doubles."
Yep, I don't think she knows what she's doing anymore. And that's just a short little chapter. So we've opened up a can of worms that Tom is someone who can't make a commitment. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's going to come in. Let's see, we have 20 pages left. Right, I'm sure that's going to be a big plot.
Yeah,
point.
Exactly. Yeah, the post-credit sequence of him proposing to Henry. Or he turns out that his Henry is the vacuum cleaner. He's doing a Lars and the Real Girl type of thing with that vacuum cleaner. It's his waifu. But yeah, so then we cut back to them, to Anatoly and Alysia, who are, they've taken a very long journey. It involved multiple nights, but he goes into a new hotel, a luxurious suite furnished in creams and browns. There's a couch, a desk, and a small table. And through the sliding doors, Alysia can see one bed. Which I don't understand, because there was 2 beds in the last hotel they slept in, but he shared the bed with her the entire night. So I don't understand how this is going to be any different from that point of view. But she's sort of like, she's still like being like, she's being brave. She's saying like, there's no excuse for treating another human the way you've treated me, and shows him her bruises, and he sort of blanches at that. But she sort of is thinking to herself, fine, like I'm sort of going to give into this. Like, this is my life now. If Anatoly wants a traditional Albanian wife, then that's what he will have. She will not eat with him or sleep with him, except when he wants sex, which struck me as, we're in some dicey turf here, but fine. I'll only have sex with him when he wants to, as opposed to...
I wrote that. That'll show him. I mean,
exactly.
What?
I'm going to have sex with you when you're tired and you don't, oh, come on, Alysia. Anatoly had a long day.
What most gross, horny men like is when the woman sleeps with them when they're not.
Yes, exactly.
But before that, she orders. This was a weird thing. And I don't understand what's happening with Anatoly. So now, before he was like, we said like the monobrowed cartoon abusive guy,
mm-hmm.
and suddenly he turns into like Pierce Brosnan. He's like speaking in different languages flawlessly, in what sounds like flawless Croatian.
He's actually butchering it. He's using all the pronouns wrong, and he's not using the pluperfect tense right. But
right. So we get that now he's become a bon vivant. He's a connoisseur of fine wines and stuff like that, and he tells her to get something to eat, and she says, I'll have the New York steak with an extra salad and fries. So does it come with a salad and she's ordering an extra one?
Yeah, she's it's like you're trying to use up a $50 gift card at a restaurant, so you're just like ordering things you don't really want, I guess.
Give me another salad that I'm going to throw on the floor, and this is going to, suddenly Anatoly's going to be like, all right, come on now. All I did was hit you. Stop ordering extra salads.
Right? Yeah, that's because sometimes if you get a salad, that's like $10, but if you get the side salad with the thing, that's like a $3 upcharge or something. So the extra salad could be a big FU to him if it does cost 2.5 times what the side salad would have cost.
That's true.
And the New York strip steak, well done, I assume.
That's exactly what I thought. But then a very, very strange thing, which I don't get. Help me out here.
Okay.
Anatoly has raised his glass in a quiet salute to her, his eyes wide, his expression warm. Her scalp tingles. She wasn't expecting this honor.
Yeah.
Picking up her glass, she offers it in a reluctant toast to him and takes a sip. What in the name of hell is going on?
She's feeling honored. She's ping-ponging from trapped in trunk, passing out, bruises on necks, to feeling honored because he raised a glass?
She spent the last 100 pages describing him as an abusive monster.
Yeah, and she spent the past week drinking fine wine with someone who actually cared for her.
I can't make heads or tails out of this, and I thought, this is her. I mean, it can't be her suddenly going into a ruse where she's going to pretend.
Oh,
and then
jeez.
She's going to knee him in his tattooed package and head out of there. I don't know.
No. To the next sentence is, she says, closing her eyes, seduced by the taste of the wine. So it's just another sort of just like emotions are not something she's in control of, I suppose. It just is whatever the current stimulus is. It's eliciting a response.
Well, we talked about the object permanence. This is another one where she doesn't remember who she is from. It's the synesthesia plus she is unaware of her own personality.
Yes.
Her memory gets wiped clean. It's
And then
she has to write her memory on her thigh every 10 minutes.
Yes. And memory of him too, because then after she's seduced by the wine and says, this all happens within all back-to-back sentences. When she reopens them, Anatoly is watching her, his eyes darkening, and in his gaze she sees a promise of something she doesn't want. Her appetite vanishes. So again, whiplash back and forth. And I just have no idea what new information about his character or her situation she has just gleaned by looking at his gaze. Did she? She's been in a trunk. She's been locked in a trunk and choked for the past 48 hours. I don't know what she's possibly going to think about now that could make her situation any worse.
I mean, if the book, again, if it were to continue for another 500 pages, is this the Stockholm Syndrome beginning? And a skilled writer would guide us towards the inner thoughts of someone who is going through this. But obviously not.
But yeah, so that she ends this chapter with this emotional whiplash yet again, and we sort of resume right where we left off though at the start of chapter 30, get with some new lip action from Anatoly. She always bites her upper lip, but Anatoly has his own thing. He sits in his chair, watchful, waiting like a predator. He taps his bottom lip with his index finger as if deep in thought. So that's a new one to sort of imitate. It's sort of his chin stroking, I guess. That's what the equivalent of.
I think earlier he had stroked his chin, so this is a new way for him to go deep in thought.
Sure. But yeah, his thought is like, now is finally the time. I'm going to seal the deal. I don't want to wait for the wedding night. So we get a fairly ugly scene of him trying to force himself on her, but again, not something that comes out of the blue or as a surprise to anyone who's been paying attention.
Not at all. But there is a part of this that I want to. What does she do? She twists and kicks, her foot striking his shin, and then the table rattling the crockery. and his response. And I don't have to give language warnings at this point. No. I hope. Ow, fuck! He whines. So I wanted you to imitate Anatoly there. Give me your best.
Ow, fuck! Say.
It sounded like Sex Man.
Oh, God, yes. And earlier, before he was whining, he says, "For fuck's sake, Alysia." So I was just, I didn't realize that. Probably an Albanian expression. Like that's that crosses all boundaries. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's, there's fluent Croatian and he speaks Albanian.
Right, I guess what appears to be flawless. But this is she's he's on top of her. He's roughing her up. But fortunately, she's got an ace up her sleeve. She says, "No, Anatoly, please, I'm bleeding. Please, I'm bleeding." She's lying, but it's the last desperate attempt to stop him. He frowns as if not understanding. Then his expression changes from lust to distaste. "Oh," he says. Releasing her hands, he rolls off her and stares up at the ceiling. "Maybe we should wait," he grumbles. So that's EL's advice just for all the ladies out there. It's that easy. You ever find yourself in this situation? But unfortunately, fortunately for her, he's not like Maxim, who surfing the crimson tide has never been an issue for him.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
Said his sister-in-law. So, yep, that was many pages ago and some innocence ago. But yeah, so that's a pretty distasteful way for her to just assume that that would be enough for this revolting dude to be deterred from the sexual assault here.
Yeah, that was an awful section to have to read, but it went over a charm with Anatoly because he wraps an arm around her, drapes a blanket over her, and says, "You will suit me well, Carissima." So apparently that,
sure,
that was just fine.
Yeah.
Drew them ever closer.
Yeah, but she's really only closer now to despair, revulsion, fear. These are her bedfellows now. So that's I was wondering about her bedfellows, but they're these. I imagine them like the things that Pandora released from her box. They're like little anthropomorphic despair, revulsion, and fear, like
right.
Plastic toys you might get out of a vending machine at a grocery store.
Right.
Alysia's bedfellows, kids, 50 cents.
We get a little paragraph break, and then she wakes suddenly, which is one of her favorite things.
Yes.
And it made me flash back to the time she woke suddenly, opening only one eye. So I wondered if she was able to do that again, because I do not have that skill.
Yeah. So in the middle of the night is when she goes to his suitcase. She debates fleeing, but for some reason makes that not an option. But she digs out his gun. And she turns it around and stares down the barrel. She's seen enough American television to know what to do. And I'm not an easily offended guy, but do not pin this garbage on us here. Like,
well, I wondered, what the hell are you watching?
Right.
Top Chef? What?
Right. Yeah. Daniel Tiger got dark all of a sudden. I mean, it could be The Room. That's how that ends.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But that's not American television.
Right.
Don't pin that on us.
I don't think it's streaming anywhere either. He's tight-fisted with those rights.
Yeah. That was an amazing turn there where it's like, did you believe that for a second? I mean, no. Plus, the last time we left her before this, I don't know which part of the trunk ride she changed, but remember she was going to be defiant. She sort of had a plan. She didn't really say what it was. But,
yeah, it was her plan was to find out if Maxim was actually sleeping with Carolyn. That was her motivation for continuing to live.
Yeah.
But this, I really liked this part. So she's pondering suicide, but then she decides not to go through with it. She crumples to the floor, defeated, a failure. She cannot take her own life. Why, you may ask? She doesn't have the gumption. So she, I assume that would be like, why one old prospector is telling another prospector why he's never going to succeed. Your mule ain't shit and you don't have the gumption. But it is evidently why you might be unable to take your own life.
Right. Yeah, the gumption, something to get up every day and work on that book or, look for that new job. Come on.
Can-do attitude.
Spit on your hands and get out there and put that gun to your temple and pull the trigger. You've got spunk. Come on.
Yes. What she does, and it's clearly it is probably the only thing in the book that has paid off in the long term is she removes the bullets from the gun before putting it back.
Yes, which is oh boy. That's really the only thing that she sets up here, and
right.
Not surprisingly, later that gets zero play because she what little tension she ever sets up, she will dissipate before it happens. Yes. So, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We cut back to, unless you have anything more of them, with Anatoly and Alysia.
She gets one more B. Arthur quip, and he says, "Why, you stayed? Where would I go?" He shrugs. "You left once before." "Is it because you care for me?" he whispers. "Don't flatter yourself," she says, sitting down, picks out a pan au chocolat from the bread basket. So yeah, she had a gun barrel in her mouth moments ago, but now she's just the Jennifer Aniston on Friends.
Now she's packing her Marlboro Reds on her forearm and pulling one out with a deft move. Well, don't flatter yourself.
Yes.
So we cut to them to Maxim and Tom. They're in the National History Museum.
Yes.
And we get a great line here. Tom, of course, is preoccupied with the displays of medieval weaponry.
Of course. Of course. Yes.
She's really winking at her audience now. Look, we all know Tom.
Right. Yeah,
where's Tom going to be? At the medieval weaponry,
right,
of course.
Yeah, you turn around for 5 seconds and he's already wandered his way back there. I like that he was he distracted himself by snappering numerous photographs and posting the odd one online, which I was delighted to hear about after last week's episode.
Right.
And I realized at some point in time, there's another thing later, like where he's Tom has taken over driving so he can play DJ and snap pictures, and I was like, oh right, like he's a photographer.
Right.
Like it took me that long. I guess that is paying off now, but it did not even occur to me during his airport lounge photograph session.
Where is he going to sell his out of the window snapshots traveling along in the Dacia? How much do those go for online?
Yeah, his every time you took your first road trip in college, the photo of you in the objects in mirror may be closer than they appear shot, that cliche. So
right.
But they take the time to go to the museum for whatever reason, but after that they do a little bit more sightseeing, and this is something that we're going to get a couple mentions of. I am struck by how many men are sitting around drinking coffee outside even though it's cold. It's a very striking image there, but then he keeps reemphasizing, where are the women? So we're getting this portrayal of this backwards, goat and hovel society, as they said earlier. But men just sit around drinking coffee outside. That's their thing.
Right, and the where are the women plot point, man, does that pay off later. Obviously, no mention of it is ever made again,
No,
so
yes.
don't worry about that.
Right. But yeah, so they have gone to meet a translator who they're picking up, Thanos and Dritta. Thanos is a doctorate in English literature, and Dritta is a history undergrad. So Thanos is doing like the whole cool RA, seducing the undergrads during his office hours type of thing, it seems like.
Right. She's petite and pretty. Why is there not one character who she's pretty tubby, right, and her complexion is awful.
Yes. No. The only ones we got were the two sex traffickers that were even were unattractive in the slightest.
Yeah. And she wants to come with them as he translates on this, their mission, which is, somewhat vague. Obviously, they're just going to go and get her, and
right,
he's going to propose or whatever. So
yeah,
that's the mission. But she wants to come with us. And then in his italicized offset, well, this could get complicated. What? It seems the complications are built in already. I don't understand what this petite, pretty woman coming along with him. What complications is she going to add?
Yeah,
is he claiming that maybe he's hot for her, and so it's complicated? Like, damn, now I'm off of my love for her. I'm onto this Drita.
Yeah, it could be. But like,
or she thinks Tom's gonna hit. I don't know. I didn't know what the complication was.
Yeah, because even in their first meeting, he says, "What do you know of Kukes?" I asked Dritta directly. She gives Thanos a nervous glance. So like, there is going to be no complication because she's just as demure and like panicked speaking to a man as every other Albanian woman you've encountered. So like, she's going to just sit in the backseat and be quiet. Like she's already given you that indication.
Right. And he asked Thanos, so this guy does not have a lot going on. He says, I'm not sure how long this is going to be. I stated as I finished my coffee. It could double as paint stripper.
Wow.
And he says, it's cool. I've cleared my schedule for the week.
Wow. Really, Thanos?
Thanos.
Doctorate student? Like it's like the busiest time of your life.
I made one phone call. I got you to clear your schedule for a week and bring your girlfriend with us, and you don't even know what's going on.
Don't need to have any more office hours because I already hooked this filly right here. Do not look at him. Do not look at him, Dritta.
Right. I liked the addition of "it's cool."
But yeah, so they all pile back into Daisy, the rental car, and they start chugging along again after the museum and coffee break. I like this little slice of color. The landscape has changed. Gone are the dreary fallow fields of northern Europe. The terrain now is stark, rocky, and barren in the winter sunshine. So it used to be dreary and fallow, and now it's stark and barren. I'm glad we've been told that it changed. Otherwise, I might have just assumed that it would have been dreary and fallow the whole way, as opposed to stark and barren.
Right.
Well done.
But they're driving along the coast at Croatia, right? Mm-hmm. And below them is a vast body of water, reminding Alysia of the Drin and reminding her of the sea. The sea. They're driving the coastline of Croatia. That is the sea. What are you? Are they really saying she's that sheltered that bodies of water are a mystery to her? Yeah. And the coastline, and she got out. She saw everything at least once. She got out of Albania.
Yes.
She has lived in London, and she's watched a lot of American television. Pretty sure there are references to bodies of water on American television.
I love to go hiking in Vermont and just think, going up this mountain in the Green Mountain Range really reminds me of the Green Mountains. Man.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess he had given her the sea, and now it's just a bitter reminder of what she had and was taken away from her.
Yep. But then we're quickly back with the others.
Yes.
And they come to a hotel, and this was just one of those bits of dialogue that just imagine the 372 players reading this. What's that place? I ask. It's a hotel, Thanos said. It's been under construction for many years. He shrugs when our eyes meet in the rearview mirror. Oh. And scene.
Totally baffled. I just said, like, we as readers must shrug as well. Like, what are... There was a point where I thought that, like, maybe these hotels were like the business that the Fabio guy that has been abducted her is taking her to. Like, I thought that might be some sort of thing, but no, but we get another one later. Like
we get another what
abandoned
like
hotel or something. Like he wonders if it's not. But yeah, a very puzzling exchange. Soon after that, Thanos gives us a potted history of Albania and shares more information about himself. I don't know what a potted history means in this context, but you can write in and tell me if I'm an idiot. We got an email this week from someone who's catching up with Tech War and wanted to let us know that I tumbled to the fact is very much a common expression that everyone uses all the time. So that'll be our curse for the rest of time, as people will be very, very gradually alerting us to that fact. But
look, I want to. That stirred up a hornet's nest with me. That is not a common phrase.
Well, maybe all the way out there where you are, Mike, it hasn't worked its way out there yet.
That's true.
You got to wait for the fence that you've turned into a phone line out there on the range to
yeah, we're still using 23 Skidoo here, so I guess it'll get to us soon enough.
But anyway, his parents lived through the fall of communism. Both of them learned English via the BBC World Service, even though it was banned under communist rule. It transpires that the BBC and most things British are held in high regard by Albanians. It's where they all want to go. There are America. Tom and I exchange a glance.
Why?
I don't know. It is not. It has no bearing on the plot. It's not something they're concerned about. Like the idea that people from a poorer country would like to go to a country with more opportunities is not exactly a new or revelatory one. So I have no idea why they're glancing at each other and shrugging and saying "oh" about hotels that are under construction.
Yeah, it's not revelatory, but that car is. Huh? It is a revelation.
Yes.
And the richly drawn Oliver shows up again. It was one of the characters that I had, like, what's going to happen with Oliver? Mm-hmm. There's a phone call with him.
Yeah, some plot information.
Your laptop and sound equipment was recovered. And seen. What? Who cares? Was anyone thinking about that?
Right. Well,
and that's it. That's all you get.
Well, no, he told them that they got the people.
Well, they already had the people, right?
I think he says. I mean, I wrote it down. The case is now in the hands of the Metropolitan Police. It appears Miss Damachi's assailants are known to the police and wanted in connection with other crimes. Good. Sergeant Nankaro said those arseholes might have form. Tom gives me a sideways glance. Have they been charged? As far as I know, not as yet, sir. Keep me up to date with the proceedings if you can. I want to know if they're charged and if they make bail. Will do. And that is the last we hear about the Albanian wet bandits. That is we do not hear anything about their slaves that they've trafficked. We do not hear. So yeah, that's it. That was our big question, whether Blériana would still be a sex slave at the end of the book. The answer is yes.
100%. She is 16, 17-year-old.
Underage girl, yes, is a sex slave because these guys are sort of the muscle in this operation. Like they brought people over, but they were not running the day-to-day sex slavery ring operations. Like wherever Blériana is, they're not like the pimps who are taking the money and, you know, roughing her up and stuff because they had to go and track down. They went out to Cornwall to the hideout.
Well, did Blériana run at the same time? I forget what happened there.
She did, but Alysia said, I do not know if she escaped. So, I mean, we have to...
so she could, we're assuming that she's back in sex slavery. They might have killed her.
True. That could be the other crimes that they're referring to, is not just the traffic. It could be murder, dismembering her body, like, you know, then again, it's wrong of us to assume that if they killed her, they might not still kept her around as a sex slave for weirdos.
Oh, Connor.
Sorry.
Connor,
what?
Look, let's quickly move past that. And what was the name of the guy who said that tumbled to is extremely common and we're all using it constantly?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't check it down.
You just said it, but okay. So we're still speaking to you, sir, if you're listening to this one. Please use tickety-boo in a sentence.
Yes, tickety-boo.
Tickety-boo.
Did you look it up?
No.
Yeah, it just made me irritated, and I wasn't going to do it.
I mean, boomps-a-daisy is a really old one. It just means I'm fine. Copacetic, right? I assume.
Yes. But, yeah, determined. That's how you sign off about the guys that kicked the crap out of your girlfriend and brought her as a sex slave are imprisoned. Oh, tickety-boo.
Yeah. So if tumbled to is common, then I guess we're going to have to accept the tickety-boo is the way we should be signing off all of our podcasts.
Sure. Yes. This was good. We got some good contributions from Tom. Tom has taken the wheel so he can play DJ and take photographs with my phone. Thanos and Dritta are quiet, enjoying the views and listening to Hustle and Drone, who are streaming through the car stereo system from my iPhone. So this now... Every time she puts in the name of a musical artist, I assume that it's, someone related to her. This one absolutely has to be her son's band because I looked them up on Spotify. Hustle and Drone's top Spotify song has 29,000 plays.
Wow. And this is after the Mister came out.
Yes. So it's like, it's either that, it's either nepotism, or it just is like, it comes across as an alien trying to pass as human, just being like, I know your popular music, your Hustle and Drone.
Yes.
They do not have a Wikipedia page, and it appears to be maybe a side project of a guy who was in a band called Portugal the Man, which is I've heard of that band, but again, very very strange. But the other thing that I thought was funny was Thanos explains that they're driving through a bare section of the region with very few trees. Thanos explains that after the communist regime fell, there were fuel shortages, and in some places, the locals cut down all the trees for firewood. I thought we were high enough to be above the tree line, Tom says. So Tom's really just like throwing in great contributions left and right here.
Right.
Tom's inside of Tom's head is like when it cuts to the inside of Homer Simpson's head, and it's just a sleeping donkey.
Tom, it's not. I just explained that. Well, when can we get a drink?
Yes.
Yeah, there's Tom.
Right.
Here's a medieval weapon, you idiot.
This is the other one I was referring to. We cross a sturdy bridge above the water. On a bluff above, a ghostly abandoned building stands sentinel, and I wonder if it's another unfinished hotel. So he does not vocalize that, which is good because he probably would have been made fun of. But we have our two heroes destined to go rescue these, are just spouting off any sort of neuron flashes that come into their heads. Yeah,
so it's like his thing. Who's your favorite composer? Is it Bach?
Yes.
Like, just give me a second. And he shows him one building, says it's an abandoned hotel, and then points over at what is obviously a parking structure. What's that? Is that an abandoned hotel?
Yes.
You moron. Just stop and I'll tell you what it is.
People were so inspired by the guy starting a hotel and then running out of funding that they discovered that they thought that must be what the region needs more of.
Right. So then we get Anatoly and Alysia are driving again.
Yes.
We get no real new information, although they go to a restaurant, and then he just leaves her.
Yeah.
Whereas before we got this, extended explanation of how you have to come into the gas station with me. But here he's just heading out. And so that's dropped. So it's completely dropped.
Right. He says, order something for both of us. I'm going to the restroom. Don't run. I'll find you. He scowls and leaves her to choose a table. A few sentences pass. She skims the menu trying to find common words she might recognize in English or Albanian, but she's tired and can't seem to concentrate. Anatoly returns. He looks tired. What the hell did he do in the restroom?
Well, I think we know. I mean, all the characters she was always grateful that she had her own bathroom and stuff.
True,
right?
Yeah. It just, whatever they're mowing down in room service, the New York, maybe that extra salad really kicked in.
Well, yeah, soon they'll be eating that baked yogurt dish, right?
Yes.
Maybe it's it's the Albanian diet. It's hard on a system.
Well, this restaurant probably had a nice bathroom because it's relatively new and decorated with a fun theme: automobiles. So it's good things to point out as we're nearing the 15 pages left in this bookmark.
Oh, if only she had said vacuum cleaners, but that's a fun theme. Oh, I don't have any more notes for that until we meet Mother. Do you have?
Yeah, I mean they are there as the new town I guess they go to is as customary. Men sit outside in the afternoon sunshine, wrapped up against the chill, drinking coffee. Again, where are all the women? They do stop for another drink in the hotel called, of all things, America. I don't know if they do like the Harry Potter change the name of the first book from Philosopher's Stone to Sorcerer's Stone. So I was wondering if this is just added in for the American reading audience. Because what do you mean of all things? No one in this book is from America. Like no one has expressed a desire to go to America. Right? I mean, Magda even was going to Toronto. So it just stuck out to me. But they do stop for another drink. Steady on, Trevithick. Can't we have a drink first? And then he thinks to himself, as my father would say, some Dutch courage always helps. A quick one, and just one, okay? I'm going to meet my future wife's parents. I don't want to be stocious.
Yeah, come on.
Your $5 word right there?
Stocious. I looked that up. That is obscure.
Is it?
It is.
Good.
I mean, it's at least the traces of it on the internet. It appears to be chiefly Scottish and somewhat archaic.
Huh.
So don't give me this tumbled to bullshit. This is not a phrase. Not a phrase.
But yeah, then they head over to the parents' house, even though he doesn't expect she's going to be there for some reason. I don't know what their time frame is or why he would expect that. But he says, on the outside of the house, there's a satellite dish, and it reminds me of a conversation I had with Alysia. And I've been to and then we get it in italics. And I've been to America by watching TV. American TV? Yes. Netflix, HBO. And it was just good in the moment of him doing this whole drive, this dangerous thing, he's about to ask for her hand. It was good to get a reminder of their the rock solid foundation of their relationship by hearing conversations just like that.
Well, also another instance of him being a complete and utter moron. Like she's saying sort of archly, well, I've been to America by watching TV. American TV?
Right.
No, I'm hooking into a Spanish net. Yes, American TV. What do you think that I meant by that?
Wow.
But there's another, just skipping back a few lines, when they're talking about the drink before they head over, and then he says, he does the, I don't want to be stocious, and Tom nods enthusiastically because he's going to get that drink soon. Yes. And then he says, I hope to God you don't snore, I say as I unpack. So he's worried about later, after this monumental event that we assume will be the end of the book, he's throwing in, God, I hope you don't snore.
Right.
So what, really? What? Right. This is your concern right now?
Right. It's Steve Martin and John Candy from, the awkward roommates from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. I mean, are we going to cut later to him lying, his eyes wide awake, the slow pan over the snoring Tom, and then him, eyes like saucers going, oh, God.
Yeah.
Anyway, more wasted words from our author.
These are some good wasted words. It's larger than the other houses we saw on our way here. Perhaps Alysia's folks are affluent. I have no idea. Great. Fantastic.
Well, but you have a new data point.
Yeah, so. And what has possibly given you the idea that she might be affluent?
The house is slightly larger.
She was dressed in rags, working as a janitor in a country where she wouldn't, she had fled. All right. I guess there's a chance she's doing like the, Prince and the Pauper type of thing. Like, but that would be very surprising at this point in time.
Yeah. Well, now we meet. I don't know if you liked Mrs. Demachi as much as I did, but I was really hoping for more of her. What a richly drawn character. She is essentially, I think I've referenced it before. She is a peasant from like the old Universal monster movies or something. Yes. She's just She is a set piece.
A mother from a Coronet short who looks 40 years older than she is meant to be.
Yep. She's just, headscarf and, I don't come on in, I guess. But we learned that she bites her upper lip.
Yes.
And the mannerism is so reminiscent of her daughter that I have to hide my smile and my tightening groin.
Yes. Right. We must infer it by this point in time.
Of course. Yes. It's there.
Yeah. I liked that her eyes are the same dark shade as Alysia's, but whereas Alysia's are full of mystery, her mother's hold only sadness. And that could be like a Marshall McLuhan type of thing. Like, you know nothing of my life from looking at my eyes. Like, come on, you dick. But he said...
he's not... Let's also remember, he is the least insightful human who's ever lived. So you are gleaning nothing from anything.
Right. Yeah. A few minutes ago, he was wondering if they were affluent based on, just seeing their house. So he makes snap judgments that are all wrong.
Are you an abandoned hotel? No, I'm your betrothed mother. What are you talking about?
And it says, but from her lined face and sprinkling of gray in her hair, it's obvious she's not led an easy life. And so, like, one, people age.
Yeah, jeez.
Two, you know that her husband is abusive. She's told you, her daughter has told you that. Like, it's part of the reason she fled. Like,
right.
It's not nothing. None of this is subtext. It's all there on the surface. So, stop acting like you're reading her face.
This is just more E.L. James. I mean, you're the one who's told us all this stuff, and now, your characters are such idiots because you can't write them.
Speaking of idiots, I enjoyed this. They've already left, unless you have anything else about the mother.
No, I think there's only, I don't know if this is in this chapter, but he says, it's times like this that I wished I smoked.
Okay.
It's just a weird line. Do people who don't smoke wish they smoked?
Yeah, only when they're, when other people were taking smoke breaks at the bar they work at, and they were like, wish I got one of those, as the other people are, hacking up along. But
I mean, I guess I've heard of people who used to smoke and then they,
crave it.
In times of stress, they crave it. But this is just him wishing that he had taken up smoking and was smoking now. It's just a weird thing to suddenly flash into your mind.
Right. If he has smoked before and felt relaxed by it, if he was just, at a buddy's, drunken bachelor party and gets convinced to have one outside, maybe he misses that feeling. But yeah, that's funny.
Right.
But they go back to the hotel where he's restless. We tried watching TV. Neither Tom and I understand what we're watching. And so it's if the program is escaping the steel trap mind of Tom, it must be really impenetrable. But also, he reinforced mere pages ago that Alysia grew up watching Netflix and HBO, so they're readily accessible. It's not just like the worker and parasite cartoon that Krusty the Clown shows from Eastern Europe. There's this this very stereotypical 70s era Soviet cartoon.
Right. So they sit another slug of whiskey for Tom. Remember, this is the mercenary. He's a merc. He's a hired security man.
Yeah. What kind of a job was he doing when he was protecting Magda and Michael?
I don't know. I mean, is this E.L. James' attempt to, make him a two-fisted, hard ass or something? But he just comes off as really just a lush, just a dumb idiot drunk.
It's like, I need a drink. It's not just like having fun with it.
Right. So then they just go. This is another one of her. I didn't have a lot of notes here because she just keeps repeating beats. Mm-hmm. So they see the mother. Then she says, "No, you have to come back and talk to my husband."
Yes.
So they go back to the hotel.
Right.
Then they go, "Well, it's time. Let's go."
Yes.
Then they go back.
Right.
They just returned to the house.
They killed time.
Why the hell isn't the father there in the first place? You know, what's the saying? Like, in when you're writing drama or something, come late and leave early.
Okay.
Come in the middle of things. No, you don't have every cast member assemble. Hi, I'm Dave. I'm his brother. Oh, good. Come on in. We were just talking here with Sherry about that thing.
Let me get you up to speed, Dave.
Yes. So they wait for the father to come instead of him just being there and ending the book.
Right.
It's just a complete waste of a half a chapter.
Yeah. As an author, you are in control of this. And as have been pointed out many times, there are pointless coincidences that are way more improbable than like him going there when both her parents are home and they say, what are the odds? So you're not above making things unrealistic. So toss in some realistic coincidences, like they're both there, and then Alysia gets home 5 minutes after him.
Hey, how about this? Tom, your security guy, stakes it out in advance, comes back and says, at 5 o'clock, we got to go. Let's,
Her dad
that's when
comes
he gets
home with his lunch pail every day, so now we know that.
Yeah. Tom does nothing. He follows him around. He drives so he can take pictures.
Yes. And then when he gets there, when Maxim goes in, he waits in the car with Drinna.
Yes.
I'll just be here. He probably has a flask hidden under the driver's seat or something. The only thing I have really noted was that when they get to the kitchen, he says it's an airy, spotless kitchen cum living room, which is gross in the context of everything we've learned so far. And then a pump action shotgun hangs ominously on the wall above Mr. Damachi's head. So there's a literal Chekhov's gun that our attention is called to, which was just at this point in time, you got to tip your hat.
Well, she's not even leaving it there. As a reader, I'm assuming, well, the pump action shotgun that hangs ominously above his head, surely he can't reach that. Ah, she takes care of that. I note that it's within easy reach. For the love of God, woman.
Let me get my gun ladder in case there's ever intruders. I'd like to have it inaccessible.
But, Father, Papa, your gun ladder is in the shop. Well, this could get complicated.
Is there a way for a shotgun not to hang ominously? I guess if you painted like the
cheerfully, like a car.
If you painted the Henry Hoover face above it, and that was its long nose hanging down.
I like that he wears a somber, dark suit that lends him the air of a mafia don. I didn't know while I was wearing my dark suits that I was...
Right. That's the only the only people that she's encountered that wear dark suits.
I guess so.
But yeah, so he comes in. He says, I want to marry your daughter. And then at that point in time, and Thanos is translating for him. Then at that moment, Alysia, they pull up, and before the cars even stopped running, she jumps out and runs inside, like screaming, "Mama, Mama!" And she bursts into the room, and that's sort of where we end that chapter. Yeah,
but not before we get, as I said, the information that we all already know as readers is then all transmitted to the father. Who are you? She was my cleaner. I've come to ask for her hand in marriage. Information we already know. His eyes pop open in surprise. She's already promised to another, he says. We already know. She does not wish to marry that man. We already know that. He is the reason that she left here.
Oh my God.
Already know that.
Oh my God.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
And why this didn't happen in the previous scene remains a mystery.
Right. Especially when there have been entire sections where it's like, I get Tom up to speed as we, listen to Hustle and Drone. Like, it's like, that's all you need to do. Get the father up to speed. One sentence can take care of 3 pages here.
Right. All right. Do we want to do a department here?
Yeah. Let me ask you a quiz.
Ooh, quiz time.
All right. So yeah, we have a quiz. This was sent in by a listener. And I want to talk about this too, just in case people don't make it to the end. But a listener named Amanda made an anacrostic puzzle for us. Anacrostic it's like a crossword with a little twist, but essentially a crossword. And so she made it based on clues from this, and it ends up having a quote that I think you will definitely appreciate. I've already taken this puzzle. It was very fun, and it's a PDF, so I will post it when I post the episode, so everyone can download and listen to themselves. Yeah, it was very cool. It was a fun little twist to put this knowledge of this book to good use. So thank you very much, Amanda. But this quiz was sent in by Kevin. We're going to do it now, so we don't have to wait till the very end. He said, what if in this last episode you had a segment where Mike has to guess whether these actual reviews are for the book you're currently reading or they're actual reviews about a literary classic?
Nice.
So he has Goodreads reviews, and you're going to guess whether they're for the Mister or for a literary classic. I think there are 5 of them. Number 1.
All right.
I mean, the plot was so non-existent that it wasn't even really a story. It was just some ramblings written down by a crazy woman with some sex in the middle. Are they reviewing the Mister or a literary classic?
Oh, I'm going to have to say it was a literary classic, only because it's so on the nose.
An actual Goodreads review of The Handmaid's Tale. Number 2. I thought this was one of the worst books I have ever read. Immediately after I felt so dirty or something that I had to dispose of the book. Frowny emoji. I have never felt like that from any other book before.
Well, I mean, I feel somewhat that way about this. I'll say that that's the Mister.
That is from Gone with the Wind. These are not all from the same person, I think. I think he just...
Yeah, no, I figured.
Number 3. If I could give this book half a star, I would. It's an utter disgrace to literature. Terrible, repetitive writing with awful, deeply unlikable characters.
Well, that 100% describes this book, so I would be... Of course, I'm going to say it's the Mister.
It is the Mister. That is correct.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4. The last 20% of the book is quite suspenseful, and I found myself racing through the pages. I wish I had slowed down a bit to really enjoy it. I was too eager to finish. That being said, I think the one thing keeping me from rating this book higher is that the author played it too safe with the darker elements of this book. I almost wanted more violence, more running, more evil. It would have made the resolution all the more satisfying in my opinion. But I'm a little twisted, so... There's that.
I'm going to say that that's for, I don't know, say the Count of Monte Cristo.
That is for the Mister.
Oh my God.
So yeah, he wanted more darker, but he's a little twisted. And we have one more, the final one. The fact of the matter is, I couldn't take this book seriously because the relationships were so shallow and weak. I just couldn't get on board with it. I don't find this book romantic at all. I think the entire thing was frivolous and unrealistic.
I'm going to say that's for one of the Bronte sisters' books. I don't have the title, but
it's close. That is from the review of the literary classic Romeo and Juliet. So there you go. Thank you very much, Kevin, for sending those in. That was very fun. It is very difficult. Internet reviewers are quite a mixed bag.
Was Cool J among them? I wonder. I guess we'll never know.
All right. So chapter 31 starts with a bang. Everyone is sort of assembled in the room now, and we get here another one that I had no idea about. I asked Lauren about it. She's a professional editor. She knows her words. Had also no idea. My heart is beating a frantic tattoo.
Yeah, I looked that up as well. I thought I was going to cry foul on that.
Okay.
I don't think it's standard American, but it could be British. I don't know. It appears to be an actual thing, but I have never heard it used.
What does it mean? A pattern? Like a...
Well, I mean, Connor, I only recently tumbled to its meaning, but yes, drum beat.
Oh man.
Or regular. I think it implies martial beating of drums. So.
I bet the artist who gave that 16-year-old boy a Henry Hoover tattoo on his junk was pretty frantic with their tattooing.
Oh, so there's I don't know. Maybe I'm stocious, but I have never heard tattoo before.
Well, but then so he's sort of just like gazing in awe at Alysia. He says she looks stunning. Slender, sweet, her hair wild. I thought, groin, any reaction here? But we don't get any. And very quickly he says, but her skin is pale. Paler than I've ever seen her before. And she has a graze on one cheek and a bruise on the other. But that does not stop him from lapsing into some notebook-esque garbage. He says, hello, I whisper. You left without saying goodbye. It's like, save it for once the bruises have healed, you sack of garbage. Like...
Ipecac there. I just throw up. But I took that thing and read it backwards. There are dark circles beneath her eyes that are shining with unshed tears, paler than I've ever seen her before. She has a graze on one cheek and a bruise on the other. Her hair is wild. Her skin is pale. She looks stunning, slender, sweet.
Yes, yeah. He just, it's like he sizes her up from head to toe. It's impossible to take in that whole picture at once. So he only noticed the bruise after staring at her for a while.
Right. She says in this 2 chapters and in the previous chapter, she says he's here about 800 times. Did you notice that?
Yes.
He's here, my man, my Maxim. He's here, right here, in my room. There he is.
Ugh.
There he is over there. He hasn't left.
Who's on first?
Remains. Yeah.
He's not with Carolyn. How could she doubt him? How could he doubt her? And I just thought, very good questions, because they defy logic and anything we know about human behavior. Like, how could she doubt him? And how could he doubt her? We would like to know.
Look, she's his best friend. She's not, and sister-in-law, okay? He only occasionally surfs the red tide with her.
Yes. But she runs to him, hugs him. She inhales his scent. It's warm and clean and familiar. Maxim. But no Banoffee. I was disappointed.
Right.
Tom had just smuggled a whole one through customs or something. That would have been kind of fun. But then this moment I thought was this. I don't think it's intentional at all, but to me it was very funny because Anatoly, the abusive mafioso who's been beating, trying to rape women, all of a sudden has a sitcom dad moment. We're home, calls Anatoly from the hall, and he swaggers into the room carrying her duffel bag, expecting a hero's welcome. So I'm just guessing, I'm him, bursting in, arms spread, like record scratch kind of thing.
I loved that. That was a laugh out loud moment.
Yeah.
I'll give E.L. James that moment.
Yes.
We're home, especially since she's been in the house for, a full minute and a half, 2 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's expecting that he's surprising them all.
Yes. So, yeah, that was funny. Credit where it's due. But we get some moments of that were also very funny of she sort of he a cloud I'm sure falls over his face. I don't have the exact words, but he's angry. Her dad is angry, and she starts speaking Albanian to her father. And we get Thanos' big contribution here. Drina and Tom are in the car, but Thanos is here. He leans towards me and whispers, "She's just told her your father she thinks she's pregnant and that you're the father."
Yeah.
So he feels a little dizzy. And but then he realizes she's lying. But then her father reaches for his shotgun, which is within reach. He says, of course, his reaction, an italicized fuck. So I just thought it was funny that her father reaching for a shotgun to blow our heads off gets the same reaction as she looks sexy while she's eating beef stew with prunes.
Exactly. But I loved that. He doesn't get it when she whispers to him, "Trust me,
okay.
we have a plan, we have a scheme here." And then she starts to say this, and the word apparently for father is it's spelled babe. Huh. I assume it's babe or something like that.
That's funny.
But it's just funny that she goes, "Babe, we do get say jam schnatzny distiate, huh, babe?" To which there's a collective gasp of shock that rattles through the room.
Right. Shocked that she's talking like Dennis Miller.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is also a pretty funny thing. Baba stares at her, both bemused and angry, while beside Maxim, a man Alysia doesn't know quietly translates everything she's just said into English. So it's pretty amazing that, we didn't clarify. Thanos cleared his schedule. He invited Drina along, but I just was never sure whether they had really spelled out what he was getting into, because people are reaching for shotguns. This guy's walking in, this rough-looking dude. People are dressed as mafiosos.
Yeah,
and he's there translating.
Well, this struck me also. I don't know if Drita is there. She was in the car before. I don't think there's any mention of her here. But he's there. He's doing the running commentary. There's a major fight here.
Yes.
There's a man wielding a shotgun. Like this kid who's getting paid, what? I mean, couple hundo for this the week or something.
Sure, maybe they're giving him a chicken who's well known for her aggressive laying. I mean, it is Albania.
But I looked it up. I went to a lot of history sites, and like, is this normal behavior from an interpreter? Is there a code or something?
An interpreter's code.
An interpreter's code where I signed on for it. If a war breaks out around me, I just have to steady on, old man. I'm an interpreter. And it's true.
Holy
so this is something she got right. So anyway, I just pulled
not
this
just
off
an
of
Albanian thing. It's like interpreters all over.
Interpreters, yeah. But I pulled this off of a history site, and it explains a little and gives a few examples. So let's give this a listen.
Okay.
Throughout the ages, young, underpaid interpreters have borne silent witness to some of the most violent episodes in human history. Greece, 490 BC.
King Leonidas, Xerxes has ordered us to surrender and lay down our arms. What message do you have in return?
To him I say, come and get them.
Come and net them? Is that what you said? I want to make sure the Albanian's correct here.
Who the hell are you?
I'm your interpreter, Thanos.
What the?
Sir, the Persian arrows, they blot out the sun.
Then we shall fight in the Thanos, you might want to make yourself scarce.
Oh, I'm fine. $20 is $20.
Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 1863.
My dearest Rebecca, should I live through this day, I do not think that God himself could provide the words to describe the horrors mine eyes have beheld. Men, more than I can count, cut down like corn in a field. The screams of the dying will be forever with me. And strangest of all, a slight Eastern European man standing over the battered bodies, translating their cries into some foreign tongue. When I asked if he wanted to take cover, he nodded yes, but said in a cheerful tone, no.
Pont du Hoc, France, 1944.
We'll never make it up that cliff, sir.
Damn it, Rangers, hold fast. If we don't disable those 155s, the whole goddamn mission... Wait a minute. Soldier, these amphibious vehicles have seatbelts for a reason. Why aren't you wearing one?
No, thank you. Seatbelts are dangerous.
Wait, who the hell is the dame?
That's my girlfriend, Dritta. Incoming mortar fire! Dritta, why don't you wait in the car with Tom?
Tom is drunk.
Oh, my leg!
Sergeant, no! I believe the sergeant just said that he is pregnant and you're the father.
So, yeah,
wow.
She gets, I don't know whether, I didn't get that from Facts King. I don't know, it's just a history site, but maybe E.L. James, maybe her father was an interpreter or something, so she knew that and added it as color, but it's pretty neat.
Yeah, a sort of a tribute to him and an unsung profession throughout history, and very impressive.
Yeah, Thanos. He's my man. I like this guy.
But yeah, so Maxim sort of grabs, starts beating the crap out of Anatoly. He throws him onto the floor. And it's brought on by her revealing her neck bruises, which really set him off, even though he had already seen bruises and cuts on her face. Anatoly tries a move that Albanian thugs should really reconsider. He tries to spit on him, but he dodges that, and his spittle falls back onto his cheek, so he's covered in his own slime. So that the guy tried that too back at the hideout when they broke in.
This is a bona fide Albanian trait. They are unable to spit on people.
It's like being on the graviton ride. You don't want to spit into the wind. He just comes back and hits you in the face.
Yeah, but so here's his hero moment. Our hero. This is it. This is this is obviously the climax of everything. He's fucking dead. Adrenaline coursing through my body. I take the fucker by surprise. You fucking arsehole, I roar. Die, you fucker.
Yeah. Speaking of sex,
I don't fucking care. Yeah, it's unbelievable. He's just a moron.
Right. He learned
then
the F word for the first time.
Tom whips into action, because Tom, our mercenary, highly paid mercenary, pulls him off and says, "Calm down, Maxim. You don't want to cause an international incident." That's the number one concern when you're about to die by shotgun blast,
right?
Or have your face punched in by an Albanian thug.
Right, yes. And an international incident probably involves a little larger scale than the second largest town in Kukes, a town of 16,000.
Right. Our lead story on the BBC today.
Right. Yes.
DJ was punched in Kukes.
Right. Yes. Boats erupting into flames in the Persian Gulf. More on that after this. We go to his Instagram feed. Very, very bad photos. I like that he says that they're pointing guns and the Anatoly's snarling, "You're soft and weak and your women are hard. Soft enough to beat the shit out of you, you piece of crap," I snap. As the red mist clears, I can hear Alysia fretting behind me. I was like, fretting? Like as the guns are being brandished and people's heads are being slammed in? I was like, my mom might have been fretting like when there's like snow was starting to fall in high school and I still had to like drive the car home, being like, I don't think that fretting is the right term for this violent incident that's happening, feet away from her.
She has the same reaction when there are guests coming over and there's 8 of them. And she only has 6 coffee cups for afterwards. Oh, no.
Right.
I'm going to have to give mugs to 2 people.
Yes. I'll just say I don't want to drink any, even though I do. And then
I pulled that out and called it pure undistilled, the mister, that line.
Nice.
Because it all ends with an italicized shit. So.
We get some good stuff where he's saying like she's a woman, she needs to be broken. I don't know if she's a sack made to endure at that point in time. That's like back and forth between Anatoly and the father, and so the father. It's important to keep in mind like this moment here, and keep in mind that he is an abusive dick, as she has said many times. She's in the car being like, when she gets home, her father will beat me, then he will beat my mom. So he's a real sack of garbage. But then her father, she tries to say like, "I love Maxim" or something, and he says, "Quiet, you!" Her father snaps, whirling around to face her. "You brought this shame upon us. You run, and you return a whore, spreading your legs for this Englishman." So like, as we're wrapping up here, he is just as bad as Anatoly. Like, there's no reason to give him any benefit of the doubt or any quarter. Like, he is just a sack of shit. And it doesn't really dwell on that as the story reaches its conclusion.
No, he has a fairly quick turn coming up. But I couldn't get out of that moment because this is supposed to be, the evil father showing his true stripes at this point. But Sherman and Peabody is the quiet you.
Yes, exactly.
That's all I could think of. Quiet you. You brought shame on us. Yeah. You run. You return a whore.
Oh, gee, Dad. But yeah, just the very quick with the whore, I thought was a. But so yeah, he says you can kiss goodbye to that loan I promised you. So that's the sort of exposition is that was sort of the dowry, I guess, or but at some point in time, I forget what leads up to it, but he whips out the gun, points it at the dad, and this was I think you might have the actual text because you alluded to it earlier that the tension was entirely diffused.
No, you don't, Alysia retorts. Anatoly frowns. What? He measures the weight of the gun in his hand. This morning in Zagreb, I took the bullets out while you were sleeping, conveying information to him that we already knew.
Yes.
She doesn't even, and here I wrote how it might have gone. Instead of having him fire the gun and then my father braced himself for the blast, but the gun clicked impotently, a look of surprise spreading on Anatoly's lupine face. There. That's how you would do that tiny bit of...
Sure.
It's a surprise to the evil guy. Why do you take that away? I'm going to blow your dad's head off. You're not, because you just have it happen, right?
Yeah, or she could say like, go ahead, see what I care type of thing.
Right.
And then she could produce them from her pocket. But yeah, his reaction to that, to her removing the bullets from his gun as he pulls the trigger, so he would have committed murder. You are one fucking annoying woman.
Yeah.
Again, like maybe you'd say that if she was, she was snoring or, just kept talking during a TV show. But no, she prevented his murder.
Yeah, I wondered, was she trying to get like a weird laugh line out of that, or like a dark laugh? Or I didn't. It's so stupid.
Yeah, if you're going for laughs, with a woman with the bruises on her neck, as the guy's about to shoot someone, but is foiled only by the grace of her ingenuity, like not a good time for laughs.
No.
So then the father says, "Go, Baba bellows. Go now, Anatoly, before I shoot you myself. You want to start a blood feud over your whore? She is my daughter, and these people are guests in my house. Go now. You are no longer welcome here." I mean, you did have a shotgun pointed at him moments ago, and you called your own daughter, a whore, even sooner than that. So, like, there's no high road here. There's no guest protocol you're following.
I noticed another bit of terrible writing where, turning on his heel, he pushes past Tom and he heads out the door. Moments later, they hear a loud bang as he slams the front door. I was like, there's guns being brandished everywhere. Moments later, they hear a loud bang. I'm like, what, did he just shoot himself? Is he firing at the front door? No, that's the door slamming.
Right. He's a teenager on Full House going to their room and indicating that they're upset by slamming the door.
Yeah, just bad writing.
So this was good. He sort of Maxim loses his shit. He brings up for the first time that she was kidnapped by sex traffickers. So that's information that's important. But then he's like, she's been through hell all because of you and your shit choice of a husband for her. And Alysia grabs my arm, a look of horror on her face. Maxim, this is my father. And he says, so she's horrified by him. He called her a whore a page ago. But he says, but I'm on a roll. And Thanos sounds like he's keeping up with me. And again, how is Thanos still here? I mean, I guess it's interpreter's code. But again, I thought the exact same thing. How much are they paying this guy who's then sat there and wondered if, is the shotgun blast going to spread to me? Like,
yeah, how wide is the choke on that shotgun? Do I have to be 8 feet from him? Or
I didn't say goodbye to Dritta when I got out of the car because I didn't assume it was a life or death mission here.
I had that same line, and I thought, so this woman has been through hell, and because of you and your shit choice of husband for her, Thanos is like, I don't want to say it like that. Can I reword it to something less stupid and child? Exactly. I'll figure it out in Albanian, but I'll get the message across.
Right. He is a doctorate student, so he probably has a better vocabulary and grasp of how to make the moment sound a bit more dignified.
Tell that fucker I'm going to fucking kill him, that fucker. Like, I'll do an Albanian version of it.
But then again, the father, this is funny, Thanos blanches as he translates. So he's been fine with the assaults, the whores, the guns being brandished, the attempted murders. What gets him to blanch? The dad says, "How dare you come into my house and tell me how to behave, you who should have kept his pecker zipped in his pants." So pecker is translating 1-to-1 from Albanian to English, I guess.
That's funny because here's my exact words after that line. He's made it through the floor punching, the near double homicide, the shotgun being brandished. Yeah, but I said this guy should get his own book because if he goes through this and just blanches now, it's like he's obviously been on some extreme adventures in his interpreting. So this should be the Thanos book series of his adventures.
Tom's going to be like, "Oh, I knew you looked familiar. You were the guy that you climbed into that compound, and you were the one who shot Osama. I forgot all about that."
Right.
But then we get. I thought this was a great. It was her dad sort of turns into the angry chief, police chief at the end of the book. Deto Martoesh me Tim Bije. The Albanians look flabbergasted. So he's been, calling her a whore, firing a shotgun. The Albanians look flabbergasted. Tom is ready to pounce. All eyes are on me, Miss Damachi's, Alesia's, Thanos' they all gape in shock, and Thanos quietly translates, "You're going to marry my daughter." So it was pretty much, you blew up the harbor, like I've got the district breathing down my neck. Well done, you two. You're both getting promotions.
Yep, and at this point, are we supposed to forget all the violence against both the women who are standing within several feet of him? it's all water under the bridge. I don't know.
Yeah, so throughout the rest of the, there's probably 2 chapters and 10 pages left at this point in time. But yeah, it's just sort of like they go along with the father as if he's someone they need to respect, and as if his words should have any bearing on it. Hey, I don't know. I'm not Albanian or English. Maybe it's pure protocol. But he gets that. The next chapter starts with him getting down on a knee, and asking her to be the honor of becoming my countess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's a sign that he's embracing his own title.
And he finally has matured into the, when we saw him at the beginning, he was obviously a shallow playboy, DJ, but here he is in high romance now. He's become the hero that we always knew he could be. Right now, here in Kukes, I'm the happiest I've ever been. She said yes. Her mouth is soft and yielding, her tongue caressing mine. It's been only days, but I've missed her so much. Her tears rub off on my face, wet and cooling. Fuck! I love this woman.
I was reminded of that. You told me that you saw something on TV like 20 years ago, an episode of Cops that just had a guy a domestic dispute, and a guy being led away shirtless and just saying to the woman, "I love you, you bitch."
Yep. With her weeping.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's I liked her eyes filled with tears. He brought a ring. This is what he came here to do, to marry her. And I just had her thinking, but does he like me? And then, she says, he really does love her. He wants to be with her, not Carolyn. He wants with her always. It's like, this is hitting her now. Like, how dumb are you?
Yeah. But this all just comes, like we guessed before, this had to be Armada-ish at the end, right? And it is. It's just like everything's working out. But then he tries to wedge in, the author, this, she says, well, this is awkward. And I just went, wait, what? There's shotguns and punchings, and after all that's transpired, now it's awkward?
Yeah, people probably have wet their pants in terror, like, But yeah, awkward is the real way to describe it.
Yeah. Now they're all just like coughing quietly into their hands and trying to talk about the weather?
Yeah. And Maxim's like, well, it is traditional for the bride's family to pay for the the wedding. And, as a traditional Goog wife, I assume that you...
I mean, I'm dreadfully sorry to have to bring it up, old man. But,
this was another good part. Mr. Damachi turns to his wife and barks an instruction. She heads deeper into the kitchen and returns with a bottle of clear spirits and 4 glasses. Mrs. Damachi fills the glasses and distributes them only to the men. So again, just a real piece of shit who deserves no respect. And why are they even still here at this moment? And he raises his Rocky once more, says something in Albanian, drowns his shot, and brandishes his gun with a look of glee. Thanos quietly translates, "My daughter is your problem now, and you'll be married here within a week." What? Fuck. And I just thought, like, or not, you abusive fossil, go to hell. Like, we're leaving and never coming back. Like, I don't understand why there's any tolerance of this.
I didn't get that either. What? This is obviously optional in every single way. I mean,
right.
The fact that you're even raising the glass now, just like, he could have just as easily just thrown her in the car. Tom, throw her in the car. She said yes.
Yeah,
so
get out of here. You're
gone.
Never going to know your grandkids, and peace. You're not getting any money.
But I did note that this is probably Tom's favorite moment of the day. Getting that glass of Rocky
Yes.
poured down his drunken gullet.
Right, yeah. Tom, it's the worst thing he's ever tasted, but he's like, that was actually pretty good. Please give me another one. Shakes are kicking in.
Drita's like, comes in right at that moment. I think I broke the cigarette lighter. What? Drita, stay in the car.
Right. And well, so they go to the final chapter, and unless you have anything else.
I don't, and I have just a few here.
Okay.
Before we get to the end of this bad boy.
Yeah, like it is sort of Armada, but like we. I mean, so yeah, we might as well talk about some of the stuff that isn't resolved at this point in time, because we got probably 5 pages left, and so yeah, no Blariana, There is
Nope.
nothing about Kit and his suicide or not.
Nope.
That was not, that was sort
Unresolved.
of a major plot point, but yeah, unresolved and unimportant. There's nothing left about like Carolyn, her whether she's out on the street or not, whether she's living in the thing. We never hear about her again.
The tattoo that he has, not the one that's beating in his chest,
Right.
but his actual tattoo of the Albanian flag.
Right. He's not.
Didn't we assume that the father was going to melt over that in some way?
Yeah, we think that
Nope.
maybe after some Rockies he'd be showing it off, and his father would show him a matching one or something. His position in the hall of Trevelyan Hall, like he just is. I assume he's matured, so now he's going to be able to handle that. But yeah, all these things. I thought if you were in some sort of unfortunate enough to be in like a writing class with E.L. James, and you'd end the book and be like, well, all of these things that you made us think were going to be important, you didn't address any of them. I know you don't want to go back and rewrite a ton, but you can resolve all of these in a sentence or two. It would be crappy, but you could do it, and not even an attempt to do that. Not even an attempt to we cured cancer and all other known diseases.
Right. I thought just off the top of my head, as they go off, like the end of The Graduate together, smiling and laughing before the other end, he says, but we've got one more thing to do. And then, cut to 2 months later, something they've flown in and they're in the courtroom and she's testifying against my brave, sweet girl had one more test. But this time she handled it like my wife, like a countess,
Yes.
my brave girl.
Right.
And then it's over. That's like a paragraph. You don't even have to do anything.
Yes.
But and having a judge banging his gavel and going, "You two pieces of scum will never
Right.
see the light of day again."
Right.
And all the women, in the gallery cheering. And
Glariana's giving her impact statement.
exactly. That would not be difficult at all.
Yeah. Or like, just it could be they find Kit's. It turns out he did leave a note. He had killed himself, and his Maxim's mother sort of like takes that and be like, "I was wrong to favor him at your expense. Like I've treated you really poorly, and this is a good opportunity for me to start a new leaf as a caring woman." But she is mentioned again, but she had her role in the book was not important.
And I also thought meeting with Oliver, coming out of the courtroom. Oliver, how are things? I'm sorry, I've been so distracted with this. And, Oliver going, things are fine, but we need you back there. But you'll learn, sir. You'll learn. And then him, like, I will.
Right.
I will.
Also, remember those organic vegetables? Yeah, we signed a deal with Whole Foods, so it's very lucrative. We're going to be in every Whole Foods in England. So
right.
That was important to him to mention all those that your father started.
We've also mentioned this shortcoming already, but the seatbelts doesn't make
exactly. Duh. Yeah.
doesn't make anything. Nor does the. I assume there'd be some little beat of shaking head. Yes, maybe throwing someone else off of like a secret code of
Sure.
nodding rather than shaking or something like that. But that doesn't come in either.
So a lot of loose ends. But so here's how it finally goes down. Mama Alysia blurts, "I watch her run to her mother. They embrace and cling to each other as if they'll never let go, and both begin to silently weep in that way that women do." And then he says, "It's ... affecting." Just odd. We've got 5 pages to go, but we're having weird. He's affected by his. Of course, you're affected by that. Unless you're a weird, again, robot trying to pass as human.
It's another moment of the shotgun is within reach. Like that information is in the thing already.
Yes.
There's no reason to add on. We as a reader understand its effect. Don't tell me how to feel about it. I know.
But then it's sort of just like smash cuts ahead, and he's in bed in the house in Kukis. There's a rustle at the door, and Alysia sneaks in and closes it behind her. All my senses comes alive. This is just sort of my heart starts pounding. She tiptoes towards the bed, and her body swayed in the most virginal, all-covering Victorian-style nightdress I've ever seen. Suddenly, I feel like I'm in a Gothic novel, and I want to laugh at the ridiculousness of the situation. It has been a pretty funny afternoon, hasn't it? Pissed off a local gangster. People have been pulling gun triggers. She's still got bruises all over her neck, but, you got to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, and Anatoly, he could be back with 3-4 guys with the AK-47s. We have no idea.
Oh, I mean, it's the only thing pop culture has told us about pissing off the mafia is that it results in horrible retaliation.
I also noted the self-awareness of, I feel like I'm in a gothic novel. Shut up.
Yeah. Right.
You have not earned that at all.
Right. And just, not giving any specifics, just doing that Kleiny. And I pulled out a variety of 80s dance moves. You morons know what I'm getting at. I'm not smart enough to talk about that, but we're all dumb enough to understand.
But I do like, just before this, he lies awake staring at the dancing, watery reflections on the ceiling. The patterns that form are so comforting in their familiarity that I grin. Doing a little Bob Honey here, like in the marble, seeing the patterns in the watery reflections.
Wow, I guess so.
Yeah, I think she owes a debt of gratitude to him. We've had several references to Bob.
Yeah, wow, I didn't pick up on that. We get one more body stirring for old time's sake as she strips off her dress and she's perfect in every way. My mouth dries and my body stirs. Ugh. And so they start sort of getting busy, but he says, watching her with her parents these last few hours, I've learned so much about her. Her emotional reunion with her mother and her father was affecting. So affecting busted out for the second time in a page.
Right.
And then he says, I think he does love her very much. And it's just like the dumbfounding. Like, brandished a shotgun, called her a whore, sold her to a gangster to finance his debts, beat her frequently. But yeah, sure. He's turned over a new leaf, buddy.
Oh, yes. But at least we get one more stubble mention. I love you. I love you, I whisper. I love you, she responds, reaching up to caress my cheek, her fingers tickling my stubble. Which she had often wondered whether it was soft or stubbly. So I don't know. Did we come down either way on that?
I think it might. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it is we were wrong to talk about all those things that have been unaddressed because I guess the stubble pays off and that sort of makes it all worthwhile.
I forgot to even ask, what texture was Anatoly's stubble?
Oh, man. It had to be rough. He was a wolf-like grin and lupine face, so I just, imagine petting a werewolf, and that's probably what he was like. He says, I think your dad will shoot me if he finds you here. No, he'll shoot me. I think he likes you. He was going to shoot everyone. Yes. Leave this house. It's unbelievable.
I think he likes you.
Yeah, he's not actively beating you, so that's the bar he's set for himself.
So we're okay. The active threats of violence are gone, and we're in meet the Fockers territory.
Yes, right.
He's now you burned his trestle, but I think he's warming to you. Don't worry about it.
Right. Or I guess if you find those like dads who post pictures of like, their daughter's going to prom with some guy and they're standing in the background with a shotgun. If you find that funny, I guess that's a funny,
right.
A funny thing, but not less funny when he was holding the gun. He tore it off the wall. Anyway, but the book ends with them getting ready to get busy for one last time. I ease her onto her back to make love to her once again. But his final thought of the book, do you have it written down?
Yep.
So he's getting ready to bang his bruised fiance, but his final thought?
I just have to tell my mother.
So
yep, that's what he's thinking.
Fully Norman Batesy clothespin on the wiener kind of thing right here. Just that's how it ends. Gross.
I don't think she knows what she was doing there. I think it was supposed to be oh boy.
Yeah.
But he's actively in the process of.
Yes. And his mother has not been that big of a figure looming enough to warrant the final line of the book by any means.
Yeah, she's a cartoon mother from a Shirley Temple movie or something, just like ooh. I can't believe you would go out with that woman.
Right.
You know, she's just a dowager. She's just a brittle dowager who makes a brief appearance.
Yes.
And is mentioned by other characters as being a brittle dowager, but that's about it.
Right. Maybe there was another line that was like, I mean, but I already told the abusive thug who pulled out a shotgun, so that'll be a lot easier than that. So nothing to worry about then. I'll keep having sex.
But I know that we're going to get letters because I misused the word dowager there, but you know what I meant.
Yes.
I'm Scotius, okay?
Well, isn't a dowager a widow?
I thought it was unmarried at all, like old and unmarried.
Sure.
I think. Go ahead, dive to the dictionary and scold us.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. We have some dumb sentences and some emails, but before we do that, where do you put this in the pantheon?
Oh boy, that's a good. You know what? I hadn't even written that down. Do you have yours at hand? Let me think and tally while you do yours.
I don't have it written down. I did not There's just so little of a plot that I think I would put it below. It's probably on the level of Tech War with me. It's definitely better than Pappy, but I think I don't like. I put it below the Kleins and the two bad self-published ones we've read.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I mean, Pappy, we're never going to find a book worse than Pappy, are we? I can't imagine.
Not until September 10th, baby.
Oh, no.
The sequel.
Oh, no.
No, thank you. But yeah, I think that's where it rates for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I enjoyed reading Tech Wars a little more than I enjoyed this. Okay. Just because him attempting so many things that failed.
Sure.
This person just slid into mediocrity from sentence one, and it never really
exactly.
Never. It was just a kind of a flat line.
Yeah.
Tech War, but she still stumbled into some pretty dumb things, which is fun. But
yeah, fortunately. But yeah, it didn't have me turning pages the way that some of the other books have, even though they're bad. Well, let's do the dumb sentence of the week.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends...
So yes, we have the final dumb sentence of the week for the Mister. A lot of these people are people who support us on Patreon, where we've been having a lot of fun. We are nearing 400 subscribers, which is really cool. So pop on over to patreon.com/372pages. You can get every episode early and participate in all the other stuff. I think you're going to want to be there for Trucking Through Time. It seems like it's going to be a quite the journey through time. So please go support us on Patreon.
Once we get into that book, what's great is that we can keep on trucking through time always. I'm going to get a sticker like that.
I think, yeah. I mean, we'll probably run another meme contest, so you've probably just given someone a winning idea there. And let's get to the sentences. First one is from Andrew. When we stopped in Dunkirk, I thought you were unconscious from carbon monoxide poisoning or something. It's nice that he casually slips us into conversation about leaving her in the trunk again. I thought you were dead last time. Let's give it another shot. We have one from Elizabeth. This was a good moment. Quickly, I slip off my... This is when he goes to their house for the first time, and the mom makes him take off his shoes. Quickly, I slip off my boots, relieved that I'm wearing matching socks, and that would be because of Alysia. So, I mean, everything about him screamed like a wealthy, snappy dresser. I can't imagine he was like, my college roommates wearing mismatched dirty socks, but you never know.
Yeah, he's in the sock department. He's Cosmo Kramer all of a sudden.
We have one from Janelle. Alysia switches off the flashlight and sits up, blinking in the darkness. She just, the one character trait that's been established about her is that she hates the dark. Why did you turn the flashlight off if it was dark? This is one from Joshua, who sent one in that he thought we had missed in the previous things. It's about the anatomy of Maxim and how this really works. A tremor runs from my hand up my arm and directly to my dick. So shoulder dick, I guess, was what's going on here. I had missed that one. Devin submitted, it's relatively new and decorated with a fun theme, automobiles. A cherry red hot rod is painted above the bar, so it was good to have fun on that journey. Harris,
the sea, but it was fun.
I mean, I guess it probably is still novel to them since there was no private ownership of automobiles since the mid-90s. Harris submitted, their Spartan suite has 2 main rooms. And they said, maybe I'm being pedantic, but how can there be 2 main rooms, let alone 2 main rooms in a Spartan suite?
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah. So that's good. Some good descriptions there by E.L. James. And I think we are ready to wrap up with our emails from people.
I have my dumb sentence.
Oh shit! Yeah, we got our own.
Mine is. I mean, it's not a don't light off the fireworks at this, but it's just so stupid. And technically, it's 2 sentences again, but it's at the end where she sneaks in or whatever. He says, "I'm lost and found." It's just so terrible. If you had that in your high school creative writing assignment, the teacher would just have it X'd out in thick red pencil.
Nobody is going to lunch until you edit this out of your story.
Yes.
Mine was just another example of our wealthy, well-educated hero. This is while they're driving, and I forget what he says, but he just yells, "For fuck's sake, Tom, shut the fuck up." So, just our hero.
Yeah, he's dropped his mention of when he would think of something that he thought was clever or that he knew some fact or something, he would reference his own high-toned education, right?
Yes, yeah.
He hasn't brought that up in a while.
Yeah,
there was mostly F-bombs.
The first time I ever smoked a cigarette, it resulted in me getting expelled from school. He alluded to some story that would never paid off either.
Oh, that's right. There's another one. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up with some emails from our listeners.
All right. What do we got?
All right. First one is from Carrie. She has a theory about Dante, the bad guy. I don't remember if he was Baldy or Ratface. A few years ago, some young actress was embarrassed after tweeting, "Every hero has his Beowulf," because she thought Beowulf was the monster's name. What are the chances E.L. James made a similar mistake, that she had heard of Dante's Inferno her whole life, and since Dante's is possessive, she thought Dante was the name of the guy in charge of the Inferno, and therefore thought she was naming her villain Devil. This might sound uncharitable at first, but remember, she's a huge fan of the Twilight series. So, a good theory.
That is. I'll sign on immediately. I have no problem believing
that. Chris said, I'm a night auditor. Night audit is the graveyard shift at a hotel. And when I read Alysia's description of herself in the mirror, when she's looking at herself with sunken eyes and bruises, I reached out to a few people in the network. I gave each of them that description, told them this is a woman with a hard-eyed man holding her by the arm. Of the 9 people I talked to with between 3 months and 27 years doing night auditing, every single one of them would have called the police. For most of them, it was not a hypothetical. Working nights in a hotel, you learned fast to spot bad actors. And nowadays, we're also getting extensive training on how to spot human trafficking.
Wow, I didn't think of it from that perspective. That's awesome to get that.
Yes, it's pretty incredible.
I mean, of course, but yeah, you don't think of that.
You even had a guy entering their room with a room service card who was seeing their behavior. But yeah, no need for coded messages. Our hotel, fancy hotel employees are all up on this. Yeah. Josh says, early in the book, they briefly discussed that Alysia has spent no time in cities. Then later in the book, it mentions her hometown took care of hundreds of thousands of refugees. I took this to mean we either had an inconsistency, Alysia doesn't think anything smaller than London counts as a city, or that James had misplaced one of several digits. However, I checked Wikipedia and learned 2 things. 1, Kukes does have a population of about 17,000 people. 2, in 1999, there really were over 400,000 refugees in camps in and about Kukes. Of course, with numbers like that, it was really a national and international effort taking place, but still not bad Kukes. So that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I read that too. There's some other fact that, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just from memory, that the town was actually built only in the 70s. Huh. They were transferred to it or something. So anyway, it just, she made it sound like this ancient yes. village. But that's my memory anyway, is that it's brand new, like Soviet-built buildings.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of gray, flat concrete.
And unfinished hotels.
Of course.
Yes. This is Nathan. These are the symptoms of a groin strain, according to Move Forward Physical Therapy. With a groin strain, you may experience one or more of the following symptoms in the groin area or lower abdomen: pain, a deep ache and/or spasms, swelling, bruising, tightness. It sounds obvious that this guy has a sports injury common to people who don't properly stretch prior to vigorous lower body activity. Exploring what must be the medical phenomenon of this injury occurring at the sight of a woman doing some of the most commonplace activities, buttering a potato, would be a far more exciting story than whatever it is I'm skimming over right now.
Wow. So, yeah, I'd forgotten that, all of his mentions, his humble brags about, it's tough to run to my gym and then do, really crush it on the, but you got to do it to stay as ripped as I am, And then he goes to, when he flies to Albania, he's just kind of, drinking, and he never mentions like, hey, Tom, you want to jog for 25 miles? Or...
Right, exactly. They're doing like a Rocky and Apollo workout, or just his upside down crunches. Right. This is good. Marie says, she quotes, I wish I'd brought my Leica, which I think is a type of camera. So
Leica, it's the most. I noticed that as another Sonos
nice.
Name drop there. Yeah, nice. It's the most expensive camera, pretty much.
But she says, we're supposed to believe he's a photographer who doesn't carry a camera at all times, obsessively looking for shots to convey an artistic message. We're supposed to believe he's a DJ who never gigs, never looks for gigs, never reviews in hindsight the bad and good about his previous gigs, and never thinks about mixing the new sounds he hears as he goes about his day. In short, he does none of the things a photographer or DJ do, but we're supposed to mindlessly accept he is those things. She thinks by writing down facts like he's a DJ, he's a lord, Alysia is brave and interesting, Maxim misses his brother, or even Maxim is in love, that makes it true. Because she wrote this world down, she thinks she creates it. But that's a fatal flaw. She doesn't create the world. The reader does by filling in the spaces left around the snippets of provided believable reality. Unfortunately, the book contains little of that reality to back up its characters' facts. We're left with a random, boring, believable reality. We fully believe Maxim's wastebasket contains some things, his kitchen cupboards do not contain other things, and that Alysia does indeed enjoy blow-drying her hair.
That's good. Yeah, I was thinking of that while you read that she just... she had to think, I should probably show him DJing.
Yes.
But then just went, I can't. I don't know how to do that.
Right, yeah. Some of the fanfic we got had him dropping beats and stuff like that, but never turned up in the thing. We had a couple more emails that were good, but I'm just going to skip ahead. So this was one, just John said, at the end of the mystery, there's too many loose ends. It begs for a sequel, so I'm submitting my rough outline for copyright purposes. Please forward this to Hollywood. Thank you. He wrote a whole screenplay, but I'm just going to share the first one because it does deal with another plot point that we forgot about or was skipped over and never brought up again. Open. Two figures fencing in full gear with full masks on. Remember fencing? Huh?
Oh, yes.
The sparring continues until one of the figures scores a point dead center on the other's chest. The loser pulls off the mask to reveal Maxim Trevithick. Maxim, well done. The other mask comes off to reveal Alysia. Maxim, you were a quick study, my lady. Thank you, my lord. Smiles, curtsies, smooching, etc. So, yeah, fencing. That was something that he did. That was something that... So I don't remember who was trying to get him to fence. It must have been Tom or the other guy from Senegal. But, yeah, that was a thing that happened once.
Yeah, so Tom was one of the mates, right? There's just the two.
Yeah, Tom and then the guy with dreads from Senegal.
Yeah, who were giving him crap. And yeah, okay.
So, yeah, those are the emails we've got to this time. Thank you for everyone who wrote in. And thank you for everyone who continues to support and listen. It's very fun to hear from everybody. I lied. This was not the last segment. I've got something else. I did some. I tended to focus on the father and his role in the whole thing at the end of the book.
I know that he became your favorite character very quickly.
Well, my favorite character stopped getting mentioned, so it was
that's true.
Needed some more information. So
you were starved. We were bleary on a starve.
But he said they're getting married within the week. So I wondered. Traditionally in America, the father of the bride gets up and gets to do his own wedding toast. So, not a lot of sequel activity in the on the dark web, but there is some post credits activity. People came up with their own post credits sequences, the way a Marvel movie does. So people have been doing those, and one of them latched onto that. So they interpreted what this father might be doing as his wedding toast. So I think we can play us out listening to this. We'll be back after a little break with some trucking through time. But unless you have anything else to say, we can end on this note.
No, just go on over. If you're not a Patreon supporter, just it's behind the wall there. But which character from the Mister are you? You could take that quiz. That was the latest thing we posted.
Oh,
so,
nice.
But otherwise, yeah, let's play us out.
Play us out with some speculative fan fiction from the dark web. Attention, everybody. Attention, everybody. Hello, hello. I am Babe. I am father of bride. Would like to make quick toast to gathered here wedding audience. I can only hope that this wedding does not go as poorly as Game of Thrones wedding, which all Albanians have watched on American HBO. That was a laugh line. You can laugh at that. Even though there is distinct possibility that Anatoly and his goons come and murder everybody for me betraying his honor. What's this? Oh, this is highly unusual. I do not normally sing, but hey, it's a special occasion. Why not? I've got sunshine on the river Drin.